Opened my girlfriend's text, found something I did not want to read. So just to give some context to this situation, I've been in a relationship with my girlfriend for 16 months now. For the most part, it's been great despite her living an hour away from me and thus our time together being somewhat restricted during term time. We've become so well integrated into each other's families and I've always dreamed of having a long-term future with her. I've always thought we've been completely honest with each other and been totally committed, which is what is making this situation difficult. I feel as though I will get some flack for how my discovery was made, but I was on her phone yesterday, which we know we both do anyway, and noticed a conversation she had the day before with her friend. She mentioned a night last summer when I had been away in London for a week on work experience at a party she had been to. It was pretty rough for me because it was the night I'd planned to drive home and stop at hers for the night, but she'd canceled so that she could go. I remember her telling me how sweet some guy was for taking her home, and I picked up that she'd spent a fair amount of the evening with him. Sure enough, in these texts, she mentioned to her friend that she had kissed this guy, but that it didn't really count because her and I were together by then. I saw her the day after that party after staying away for a night longer than expected, and I remember her telling me about how much regret she had for going. This sparked up initial suspicions there and then, but I thought nothing of it until I saw the text yesterday. So obviously I want to say something. Yesterday we went to a family lunch and I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was just angry on the drive there all the way and she kept asking what was wrong, but I just pretended I was ill. I just can't gauge what's happened. I can forgive her, given that I know she was drunk, that she showed unfaltering affection for me, but I'm just so confused. I thought she would have admitted that to me straight away and I'm finding her dishonesty hard to accept. I can't figure out what to do, given that I have A-levels in 2 weeks. We have a holiday booked in August and then I am off to uni in September. I'm not even angry anymore. I'm just disappointed and I feel slightly betrayed. Anyway, I'm calm for now. I have something to focus on and I'm studying hard, so I have something to take my mind off it. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe it was wrong for me to have been nosy. If I was to bring it up, how would I even do it? I'm not particularly looking for guidance, as I know this isn't necessarily the place to ask for it, but an external voice to tell me I'm either being totally sane or a paranoid idiot would be reassuring. I'm not ready to bring it up with any friends yet until I know more. Thanks to anyone that's taken a few minutes out of their own time to read this. I really appreciate it. Found out my wife was cheating on me last night, in bed with another man all night. Long story short, I've had suspicions. I loaded up my boy when my messages and calls weren't being answered after she got off work. 4 hours, I eventually find out she's driving her friend's vehicle and find it at a hotel. I opened the center console and there's a Plan B pill. I found out who it was, too. Oh well. Sent her a pic of it asking if she needed it. This is one of the messages I received, and I wasn't into black dudes until I got a taste of one, and now I love him. I'm not mad, I'm just hurt and disappointed. I told my two stepsons everything. We cried a lot. The worst way to get a birds and bees talk. The oldest asked why she cheated on me. I don't know. More crying. Told them I may never see them again. More crying. Worst day of my life in the midst of the worst month of my life. I thought this year was going to be so much better. Edit. I've talked to my stepsons and decided they're still my kids. I'll never abandon them. I'm the only father figure they've ever had and I don't want to live without them. Edit 2. I expected this to get a little attention, not this much. I expected most people to shit on me for talking to the boys about everything, and that's okay. Maybe it was the wrong decision, maybe it was the right one. What's done is done. I can't take it back, and I feel that showing them there is a side of me that is emotional, caring, etc. has brought us closer together. I am surprised the things I had said in comments initially ended up bouncing back from being unpopular opinions. I'll continue to update this as things unfold. Edit 3. January 9, 2022. I'm gonna add to the short story. We've had a lot of stressors in our relationship, including my biological, who had birth defects and required a lot of hospital visits. 3 surgeries, a rough total of 15 operations involving anesthesia, to life flights, near-death experiences, holding him down while nurses fish for veins. He's mostly a healthy and happy boy now. Anyway, we let those stressors get to us and began growing apart. We've been separated for 2 months. I've been doing a lot of self-reflecting during my sobriety and have made changes that allow me to be the man I once was again. My wife and I had a long chat where she explained what happened, and I can't say I'm much better than her, but I didn't take it to the point that she did. What she said in messages was purely to get back at me, which is fine. There were a few people hanging out in the hotel room until bedtime. She told me that, skipping a lot of shit because it's not entirely relevant and I don't feel like mentioning it. They got to the point where they were going to have sex. He got a condom, came back, and as soon as he started, all of the guilt, shame and embarrassment began to set in. She started crying and stopped it. She called her friend, who came and picked her up. When she got home, she sat in the shower for over an hour, telling me she continues to feel disgusting. She absolutely should feel that way. I'm not a perfect man, she's not a perfect woman. None of you are perfect, and none of us ever will be. We all make mistakes, and that's what makes us human. What matters is that we learn from those mistakes, reflect, grow, and never make those mistakes again. I'll be brutally honest, I don't give a shit what anyone thinks, but I'm not giving up on my wife. I know her sobbing was genuine, and I know she feels like shit. I gave her an ultimatum she once gave me or her, but in this case me or him. I gave her till the end of the day to make her decision, and I'll be seeing her tonight. My next update will be my final one, and I'll be deleting what I thought was going to be a permanent alt account event personal issues. My girlfriend slept with one of my best friends. My girlfriend and I have been together for almost 3 years, and sometimes things have been tough, and sometimes I said some things that I regretted, but I've always tried my best for her. She went back home from college before I did, as we went to different colleges, and she started hanging out with my friend group. One of the people she hung out with, outside of my friend group, was someone who had begged her to take his virginity while he was drunk. To be anonymous, I'll call him Chase. I told her I didn't want to tell her who to hang out with because it wasn't my place, but I wasn't super comfortable with it. She told me I was being controlling and overbearing, and I told her this a few times, but her responses were the same. Eventually she went to drink at a pool hall with a group of my friends, and when they got back, she hooked up with one of my best friends, got caught, and everyone there tried to hide it from me. We ended up breaking up because I felt like she didn't make time for me anymore, and prioritized everyone else over me. She kept telling me how I was paranoid about her hanging out with those guys and how I was trying to take her away from her friends. I felt bad, so I called Chase and apologized. I buried the hatch with him because if that was what I was doing, I didn't meant to. Chase told me what happened, and my ex called me a manipulative bastard who deserves to rot in hell. It just feels like all my friends are against me and I was just trying to do what was right. She still wants to stay friends, and I told her I was willing to, and I was willing to still try for her in a relationship, but she couldn't be friends with the person she had sexual relations with. Maybe that's a harsh thing of me to ask, everyone seems to think so, and I asked my friend the same thing. I just feels that no one had any respect for me, and everyone is telling me I'm a terrible person and I can't take it anymore and I don't know where to turn.